Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Sunday's edition of Alaska Weather. On the chart here, no warnings or watches, but there are advisories out tonight for the Brooks Range and I guess a portion of the North Slope here for snow, blowing snow due to northeast winds 20 to 30 miles an hour with higher gusts. And that's out until 6 a.m. Tuesday. And there could be some minor snow accumulations, maybe up to an inch or so, but nothing really significant. On to the satellite imagery. We've got a system here. It stands out pretty vividly west of the Queen Charlotte's. Band of showers rolling into the southern southeast coast. Some clouds up to the north. Looks like some clearing in between. Not a bad day along the North Gulf Coast. And then other band of moisture with showers coming in toward Montague Island on down and kind of bearing down on Kodiak Island, but still a ways off to the west there. Just some scattered isolated showers in that band, and then some showers back off to the east there, but again all moving westward. Lots of sunshine over southern Alaska today, but an area of cloudiness right through here, and especially up to the northeast there. In fact, more clouds across the Tanana Valley today where light snow occurred in and around the Fairbanks area, flurries back to the west and up to the north there to the eastern Brooks Range area. But winds up along the Arctic coast, not too bad, pretty light. Also out here over the northern Bering Sea, winds have diminished, but still gusting up to about 35 miles an hour at Tin City out in the north. And then we had this area of cloudiness and snow, with precipitation extending from about Nunivak Island, coming back around over St. Paul and St. George Island, extending on southeastward there into the Nikolsky, Alaska area, where it's kind of a little more showery in nature down here instead of the steadier snow scene up at St. Paul, and a few scattered showers over the Alaska Peninsula. Much colder air and a lot of snow showers back here to the west, it all sliding southeastward as this area continues to pull to the west. And up to the north again, looking at that upper level disturbance. Trough axis right through here, and southwest flow aloft ahead of that, rising motion. So areas of light snow again from the Tanana Valley into the Koyukuk Valley, back out maybe the Kobuk Valley though, but a more extensive area of light stuff up there from the northern upper Yukon in across the Brooks Range, but not quite out to the Arctic coast this afternoon. In fact, some areas of clearing with light winds across that area today, but there were some clouds rolling into the western North Slope there of the Brooks Range throughout the entire day today. Some of that spilling southwestward, again with a few flurries. Otherwise, good sunshine here over southern Alaska. There's that band of showers approaching the Kenai Peninsula, still to the west of Kodiak Island, and some scattered showers again slipping on up into the southern southeast coast. Otherwise, a pretty dry day with generally light winds, mostly out of the east-northeast. Some channeled areas got a little gusty, while other areas were on the calm side. Back to the west, northwest winds 20 to 35 miles an hour there across the eastern Aleutians. Scattered showers here for the Alaska Peninsula, and snow showers back out to the west. And the forecast for tonight, same act out there. Snow showers with northwest winds, Snow continues here for the Pribilofs and maybe becoming a little more continuous of the snow there for the eastern Aleutians. Otherwise, no change for the Alaska Peninsula, no change for the southern interior, and some scattered showers may reach the east side of Kodiak Island as that band continues westward, but amounts will be quite light. But again, partly to mostly cloudy skies for the North Gulf Coast and about the same over the Panhandle. We've got that low creeping up to the north, so that's going to keep a chance of showers in over the southern areas with some breaks across the central inside waters. Lynn Canal, northern Lynn Canal, maybe a risk of some shower activity. Haines, maybe Skagway, but more miss than hit on those showers. Areas of light snow here from the central Tanana Valley, Koyukuk Valley, on up to the northeast there. Again, amounts could maybe reach an inch in some areas, more, otherwise most areas will see less than that. Drying out to the west there, and some gusty winds through the passes of the Brooks Range out of the northeast, again 25 to 30, maybe some higher gusts, but nothing too serious, and some flurries on the eastern north slope with pretty dry conditions. Again, a lot of VFR here across the Seward Peninsula down to St. Lawrence Island this afternoon. That'll continue into tonight, as well as the Yukon Delta. Clearing skies, definitely VFR, but this area of snow from Nunivak Island back down across the Pribilofs, and I mentioned on into the eastern Aleutian areas. And then the forecast for tomorrow, look for a little more cloudiness here over southern Alaska, but most of the moisture will stay to the north here over the eastern interior on up to the eastern Arctic coast. But again, amounts pretty light, upper level trough axis right through here. Still a chance of showers there for Kodiak Island, conjunction with this low center here. Some of those may reach the southern portion of the Kenai Peninsula, and then this low off the coast looks like another surge of moisture will kind of increase the shower activity there over the Panhandle, scattering out up to the north. Yakutat on over into Prince William Sound. Pretty good day tomorrow, just partly to mostly cloudy skies. And this area of moisture probably shifting west again, far enough, again tapering off over the Pribilofs, but still sweeping on into the eastern Aleutians. That's the best chance of snow out that way tomorrow in Nikolsky and Alaska Dutch Harbor. And again, no change out west of there, snow showers and northwest winds. Maybe patchy fog on the eastern Arctic coast, possible flurries on the east side as well, but dry back to the west. Then on Monday, that upper trough begins to actually drop southward into the Kuskokwim Valley, so look for areas of snow to increase along the Alaska Range up into the central interior areas. And we've got a low here just south of the Kenai Peninsula or near the Barren Islands, so clouds will increase and shower activity or shower chances will be on the increase here over south central Alaska, the Kenai Peninsula, especially the Brooks Range and the Talkeetnas throughout the afternoon. Also look for mostly cloudy skies and a few flurries or light snow showers here over the Copper River Basin. Scattered showers there in the Gulf of Alaska. Snow showers pretty likely there. Light snow showers, at least a better chance there for Kodiak Island. And southwest flow here off the Gulf with this low tracking in to the Yukon. A lot of shower activity here for the southeast coast and a little breezy. In fact, precipitation may be a little more numerous there, the showers, than what I've got drawn here. In fact, it may be so numerous it might just be kind of a rainy kind of situation in some areas. Snow showers at low now, shifting off to the south, so drying out over the Pribilofs, some clearing with those cooler northeast winds there across the Bering Sea all the way up to the Seward Peninsula. High pressure in over the north slope there, light winds and chilly temperatures in that area. Again, dry to the west here on the west side of that upper trough, but the area of snow here probably going to increase the chances of snow Tuesday night and through Wednesday here over south central Alaska, but have to wait and see exactly how it develops. Out to the west, quite a ridge of high pressure here from the Russian Far East extending all the way down across the western Aleutians and off the chart there. Then on the outer edge, next big storm starting to edge its way eastward. That'll bring 30-knot southeast winds into the Shimiatu area during the afternoon hours. Otherwise, pretty light through here, especially the west central Aleutians. Temperatures across the southeast coast, mid-40s to the lower 50s. 52, the warmest location there plotted on the chart today at Sitka. 49 at Juneau and Skagway. 45 at Heidelberg. 46 Metlakatla. Port Alexander, same thing, 46 degrees there with a 48-degree reading at Yakutat, Cordova at 44, and a 45 there at Seward, 46 in Homer, mid-40s here for Kodiak Island, lower 40s for Cook Inlet, Talkeetna at 37, Gulkana 32 degrees, 30 at Northway, and then the areas of light snow continuing the cooling trend there in the Tanana Valley, just the lower 20s this afternoon. Teens back out to the west, and just 10 degrees at Fort Yukon. Anaktuvuk, 11 below zero, northeast winds at least at 25 miles per hour today, and below zero definitely here across the North Slope and even the Arctic coast, but Wainwright up to 0. Cape Lisburne at 1 below. Deering had 1 below, but Kotzebue came in with 10. 12 degrees over at Nome, and Golovin had 18. 27 there at Marshall, and 19 back at, actually that was Mountain Village, I believe. 26 there at McGrath, 44 in Stony, and a 25-degree temperature reported by Bethel with teens out along the coast, a little below 10 degrees St. Lawrence Island, but much lighter winds today. 32 both at St. Paul and St. George, upper 20s here over the western Aleutians, 30s to the east, and then back into the mid-40s up there over Bristol Bay with 46 at King Salmon. Lows tonight will be in the 20s out that way to lower 30s for the Alaska Peninsula, mid to upper 20s for the Aleutians and the Pribilofs, right near 0 St. Lawrence Island, and you can see the 0-degree isotherm cutting across the Tanana Valley there. Some areas staying a little above 0, but well below 0 for the North Slope, Brooks Range, and the Arctic coast. 30s, mid to upper 30s there for the Panhandle. And for the highs tomorrow, back into the 40s down that way. In fact, 40s here in the North Gulf Coast, South Central Alaska, mid-40s Kodiak Island, about the same for Bristol Bay as you saw today, upper 30s out to the peninsula, and lower to mid-30s there over the Aleutians, chilliest out west. Taking a look at the flying weather for tomorrow morning, IFR possible on the eastern Arctic coast, an area of marginal VFR. This may not be solid marginal VFR, but also some IFR possible here up over the, well, say from the White Mountains up into the southern upper Yukon, with areas of marginal VFR extending down to the Alaska Range on the north side. Otherwise, VFR to the west, to the south, and then with the moisture, some possible marginal VFR there from Dixon Entrance in toward Prince of Wales Island, Kodiak Island out across the Aleutians, and then that northwest flow, areas IFR from the Pribilofs down to the upslope area of the Fox Islands. That'll continue into tomorrow afternoon as well, but that area will shift to the west, so look for conditions to gradually improve for St. Paul and St. George. Then that moisture coming eastward as well. Keep some marginal stuff possible here on the east side of Kodiak and Fognak Islands, and then marginal VFR on the north slopes of the Alaska Range, upper Yukon, southern or southeastern Brooks Range, areas of IFR in the forecast for the Arctic coast, and marginal VFR on the increase there over the central and southern Panhandle. As far as passes go, Anaktuvuk and Adigan, possible marginal VFR in the northern entrances, otherwise VFR, especially to the south. Lake Clark and Merrill should be good VFR tomorrow, and same forecast for rainy, with windy looking marginal at times, both north and south, with Isabel, though, and Mentasta both should be VFR. And for Tanita, definitely VFR, Portage VFR as well, and Chilkoot and White VFR. For the freezing levels, about like yesterday, except a little further to the north here near the Pribilofs, and then back down over the west central Aleutians. Otherwise, right along the coastline. And again, 2,000 feet, really not changing much there across the southeast coast, Gulf of Alaska area, right up to about Kodiak Island. And for icing, again, the moisture is sliding northward. Could be some areas of light to isolated moderate rime icing there for the southern southeast coast. And then some areas of mixed icing out here to the west, Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians there, maybe the Pribilofs, but again, the bulk of that will be shifting westward, and a chance out there around Adak. Here's that upper trough up over north central Alaska. Actually got a closed low up there now on the trough axis, a little down from that. So that's beginning to increase southwest flow aloft here over south central Alaska, and again continuing that over the eastern interior. Otherwise, the main jet well to the south, the branch here coming into the southern southeast coast there. Again, that trough just off the coast, and eventually on into Wednesday, this trough and this one will kind of link up and tend to pull a trough across south central and central Alaska at that time, increasing the chances for snow. And for 9,000 foot winds, there's a low there off the west of Dixon entrance. Could see 30-knot winds with that over the southern panel, but very light across the Gulf of Alaska and southern interior, increasing northeasterlies 25 to 30 knots, as high as 35 knots out across the Seward Peninsula. Pretty light winds for the southeast bearing. Northwesterlies now from the eastern Aleutians out to maybe Atka, 25 to 30 knots, and at 3,000 feet. The same pattern there, kind of very light south through this area, trough right through there, up to 25 knots out in the northeast, up on the southeastern slopes of the Brooks Range, northeast 30 there for the Bering Strait, and then turning northerly 20 to 25, coming around to the west for the Fox Islands. And turbulence-wise, look for some mechanical light to isolated moderate chop, western Alaska Peninsula, all the way out to near Atka, and from the northern Bering Sea there, St. Lawrence Island, up to the northwest coast to probably Point Lay, and back here along the Brooks Range, and also over the southern southeast coast below about 5,000 feet. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snider, joined again by Eric Stevens from the GINA, or Geographic Information Network of Alaska at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Thanks for joining us again, Eric.
Glad to be here.
Thanks. We are talking about satellites today, and what are satellites? And the easy way to talk about that would be to introduce our friend the globe here, which is a round spheroid type shape. We haven't been on a flat Earth as far as history is known for several hundred years now, and because of that we also know that we are orbiting around other objects in space, and that objects are orbiting around the Earth as well. We call all those things satellites in some form or fashion, right, Eric?
Right. Well, this leads to the discussion of Johannes Kepler's research 400 years ago. Did some of the early work and founded the 3 laws of planetary motion, which are important to planets and also to weather satellites.
Okay.
Kepler's first law talks about how the orbit of an object around another object is an ellipse, not necessarily a circle.
Kind of a flattened circle?
Yeah, depending on how flat
squished
it could be.
Okay.
For our purposes, we'll just say they're mostly circular.
Okay.
The second law is most important for us, though, and that is the closer an object is to the thing it's orbiting, the faster it goes. So in the solar system, the planet Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. It orbits the sun in 88 days. It moves at 100,000 kilometers an hour.
It is just
moving.
Okay.
Right. And further out from the Earth is Jupiter, and it moves at only 1/4 the speed of Mercury, and it has to go further, so it takes 12 of our years for Jupiter to make one lap. The further out you are, the slower you go.
Okay.
So we're talking about planets. Why? What does it have to do with weather satellites? Turns out Kepler's laws apply to planets orbiting the sun. They also apply to satellites orbiting the Earth.
Okay.
You know, our natural satellite is the moon. There's the famous Apollo 8 Earthrise shot.
Beautiful shot.
Oh, yeah, you could just talk about that forever. December 1968, the moon is about 250,000 miles away from the Earth.
Okay.
It takes a month to go around the Earth. It's that far out, it takes a full month to do an orbit. Another shot here of the International Space Station. Instead of being 250,000 miles out, the ISS is only 250 miles up. It's really close. And so it doesn't take a full month for the space station to go around the Earth. It only takes 90 minutes. It's so close, it just whips right around 90 minutes.
Okay.
So weather satellites, there are a number of weather satellites, and there are a number of orbits. The further out you have the satellite, the longer it takes to go around the Earth. And this is important because different satellites have different purposes. So we have a satellite here. This little salt shaker lid will serve as our satellite going around the Earth. Let's say you have a satellite that's 22,000 miles above the Earth. This is kind of a magical spot, because at that distance, it takes a full day for the satellite to go around the Earth. Imagine if you put your satellite 22,000 miles up from the equator and had it go with the Earth as the Earth spun.
The same speed.
Right. The satellite goes around the Earth just as fast as the Earth itself is turning. In effect, the satellite will hover in one spot.
I see.
And it appears when you make a movie loop of picture after picture after picture. You can replay that and you get these movie loops. Geostationary satellites, these are called. These are stationary in appearance. and they provide a constant frame of reference. We've got an example here. Another nice thing about these satellites, since they're that far out at 22,000 miles, you can see from pole to pole, which is nice. So they're pretty broad view and a constant frame of reference.
So those are the pictures. If you're watching a weather satellite loop on TV, your favorite weather show, that's the picture that you're going to see is one that's sitting over the same spot.
If you're seeing a movie loop play again and again, that came from geostationary satellites.
Okay.
That's the only way you can do that.
Yeah.
The bummer, though, for us in Alaska is we're up on the very top of the planet. And for geostationary satellites to work, they have to be over the equator. So for the geostationary bird to view Alaska, it's kind of like reading a book, but you're reading it edge on like that.
Right.
So there's another kind of orbit called the polar orbit, which is nice. We're near the pole.
Yeah.
And here's a satellite. Those polar orbiters are much closer to the Earth, getting down toward International Space Station elevation. And they're not in the equatorial plane. Rather, their orbital plane is inclined like this. And the Earth turns under that satellite as the satellite orbits. The nice thing about that is for Alaska, the satellite will go right over Alaska a few times a day. And so you get a much closer image. We've got a shot from the Sumi NPP satellite. Specifically, it's a true color image from the VIRS sensor. That's an acronym there. But it's a beautiful shot of Alaska, and you can see so much detail. The kind of detail, because you're close in.
Very high resolution.
You couldn't get this kind of view from geostationary satellites. The advantage of these polar orbiters is nice close imagery. You can see a lot of detail. The disadvantage, though, is that the satellite flies by, and then you have to wait a while to get the next image. And if geostationary weaknesses are that you're reading the page like that, the polar orbiter, you're reading the page straight on, but it's so close, and then it zips by, and you have to wait for the satellite to come around the Earth again. So there's no one perfect solution. Different satellites for different orbits. Each has their strength, and amazingly, it all comes back to Johannes Kepler and his laws of planetary motion. The same laws that govern how the planets orbit the sun, they govern how the satellites orbit the Earth, and even our little pretend salt shaker right here.
Right, okay. Well, since the 1957 Sputnik, we've been putting man-made objects into orbit around the Earth and starting to get pictures back. Who knows what will happen in the next 50 to 100 years. Amazing
it's
stuff.
A growing science, and the future is bright.
Thank you so much for joining us again, Eric. And for more information on GINA and what the satellite systems do there and what Eric's been talking about today, you can go to the web address on your screen. For Alaska Weather Facts, I'm meteorologist Dave Snider.
Small craft advisories are out for most of the coast out here tomorrow, with southerly winds becoming easterly to light northeasterly up there in the north. And inside waters, 15 knots for Lynn Canal, picking up to about 20 Stevens Passage, southeast 30 for Clarence Strait. And the outlook for Tuesday, southwesterly 25 knots here on the south coast, with southeast at about 20, becoming light southeasterly. There for the north coast, Lynn Canal, no change, southeast 15 or southeast 20 for Stevens Passage, and still carrying small craft advisories for Clarence Strait. And very light winds, North Gulf Coast, all the way down across the Barrens, Kodiak Island, light variable 10 to 15 knots with seas 2 to 6 feet. Light northeasterly or variable to northeast, Prince William Sound, northern Cook Inlet, and very light winds all the way down across Kachemak Bay. And for the Tuesday outlook, not much change. Light variable winds, 10 knots or less here from Kachemak Bay on up into northern Cook Inlet. No change for Sholokov Strait, but westerlies picking up to 25 knots here for the east side of Kodiak Island. Seas building to 10 feet, and easterlies 15 to 20 knots for the North Gulf Coast. Bristol Bay, light north winds tomorrow, and southwest 20 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. Small craft advisories on the south side, and westerlies at 15 from Castle Cape to Sitkinak. Then the outlook for Tuesday, northeast 15 for Bristol Bay, north 20 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. Small craft advisory westerlies here from Cape Sarachev all the way up to Sitkinak. Seas running at about 10 feet. For the Fox Islands tomorrow, mostly west winds at about 30 knots with 11 to 13 foot seas. Small craft advisories here for the central Aleutians, west central Aleutians dropping off to 20 knots there for the west side as higher pressure builds in. And then the next day that high shifts eastward here, so we got light variable winds through here, and those winds southeast increasing to 30 knots throughout the day for the far western Aleutians. Otherwise, northwest 25 for Adak and Atka, and then coming down for the Fox Islands, northerlies down to about 20 knots. And then for the Pribilof Islands, tomorrow northeast to 20, 8-foot seas. Heavy freezing spray from the northern Bering Sea there off the ice edge, northeast 25 there. Brisk wind advisories again for St. Lawrence Island on down to Nunivak Island, northeast 15, and make that 3 feet, drop to 0 there for the seas. And then on Tuesday, pick it up a little bit, 20 knots, 4-foot seas. Lighter winds now, north 20 knots, Nunivak Island up into the Bering Strait, as well as the northern Bering Sea, and the Pribilofs also north at 20 with 6-foot seas, but still carrying the freezing spray out in this area. For the Arctic coast, west-northwest, 10 to 20 knots, strongest there over toward Kaktovik to Demarcation Point. Anyway, northwest at 10 for the central coast. Brisk wind advisories from Wales to Cape Beaufort, northeast 25 knots in those areas. And then the outlook for Tuesday, they come down in that area, down to 15 to 20 out here, staying light on the western Arctic coast and pretty light winds, mostly from the northwest for the central and east side, and 15 knots for the extreme east coast. And then for tonight again, areas of light snow, Tanana Valley, central interior, northeastward up to the eastern North Slope areas, and staying dry with not too bad on the winds there into the northern Bering Sea. Areas of snow, Nunivak Island back to the Pribilofs, into the eastern Aleutians. Scattered snow showers may make landfall here on the east side of Kodiak Island. Scattered showers the Alaska Peninsula and also over the southern Panhandle. That becomes a little more numerous down that way tomorrow. And still looking at the snow up here over the eastern and northeast interior, as well as the eastern Aleutians and ending for the Pribilofs. And then for Tuesday, clouds and snow shower chances increasing here south central Alaska, Kodiak Island, and along the Alaska Range right up into the east central interior areas. Showery for the southeast coast and a big ridge out to the west. Have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Support comes from the University of Alaska College Savings Plan, helping you and your child save for college every step of the way, from diapers to diploma. More information at uacollegesavings.com.